'Twas the night before the Canadian Olympic roster announcement, and all through the land, debate raged on about defensemen who shoot with their right or left hand. The Canadian Olympic hockey team announces their roster tomorrow, in defense of their gold medal victory in Vancouver. It's blurry, that's a picture of the newspaper, I kept it. Here's my ticket stub from the gold medal game. Mwah. But before I talk about roster projections, I want to talk about Team USA, the team Canada did battle with in the gold medal game. They've been dominating the headlines all week Olympic-wise because of who they named to their roster, and more specifically who they didn't name to their roster. They left Bobby Ryan off, which I thought was nuts. Okay, they say he lacks intensity, but he doesn't lack being really good at hockey. He's a goal scorer, and that's the name of the game. And on the big ice, you want a guy with his skill set. That's why I look at a pick like Brooks or pick on D and I go, you sure? Then there's the goalies. In the summer, I was thinking the States had to be one of the gold medal favorites, and a huge reason for that is goaltending. Even though it appeared Ryan Miller was falling off, they still had guys like Corey Schneider, Jonathan Quick, and my pick to be their starter was Jimmy Howard. Lo and behold, Schneider's not on the team, Jonathan Quick is just getting back from injury, and Jimmy Howard has been injured and struggled all season. The guy who's been lights out, albeit on a bad team, Ryan Miller. And this is why they play the games. Because of the injuries to Quick and Howard this season, and because of his success this season, I thought the States were crazy to leave Ben Bishop off the roster. You look at some of the goalies coming out of Finland, Sweden, big ice, big goalies. And the States had a chance to bring the biggest goalie, and they didn't. That being said, I still think they're a really strong team. A lot of people aren't giving them enough credit. I saw some projections that had Phil Kessel and JVR on the third line, and I'm like, holy crap. Now for some Canada talk. So, what happened last time? They won. Big fan. Big fan of the winning. They should try to do that again. But I remember before the Olympics began, Canada left Stamkos off the roster, and I thought they were nuts. This time around, I don't even know what to think. Because he's recovering from a broken leg, and that's really sketchy. On the other hand, he's one of the top 5 offensive players on the planet, and he's healing up like an X-Men. Wolverine is Canadian, BT dubs. If he's healthy to go, they should put him on the first line, but there's my question to you. Should Stamkos even be going if he's just recovering from a broken leg? And Stamkos is to this roster what Ryan Getzlaf was to the 2010 roster. Canada, not sure Getzlaf's going to be able to go. He's battling an injury. They bring Jeff Carter just in case. Getzlaf ends up being one of Canada's best forwards at the entire tournament. He was an animal. And he must love Olympic years because he was slumping, and this year, not so much. And he's got to battle for a spot on a team that's projected to have 6 centers. Bergeron, Crosby, potentially Stamkos to the wing, Taves. It's disgusting. But probably the biggest hot button topic on this team is defense, specifically whether or not you bring reigning Norris Trophy winner PK Subban. I got into a few debates about this recently because I think Subban should be going. And I'm like, he's the reigning Norris Trophy winner, been with Hockey Canada for a long time, represented Team Canada, won gold with them, he's got all the skills in the world, and then the debate turns to who do you take off, and I go, And that's a fair point. Canada's got a lot of right-handed defensemen on the bubble for the roster, but consider this. Too many people are talking about the wrong thing with Subban, I think. People talk about the offensive defenseman versus defensive defenseman. He's too offensive, he's too much of a liability on defense. First of all, I disagree with that, but let's pretend that's true. Stop looking at it as offensive versus defensive. The game is changing completely. He's not playing with players that he usually plays with, and it's on the big ice, which Subban is familiar with from his days in Belleville. The Belleville Bulls play on the big ice. What I want you to start thinking about, rather than offensive versus defensive, is skill set. Not what he does, but what he can do. And what he can do is skate with the best in the game. Speed, agility, not a problem. I want to see PK Subban just send an amazing outlet pass on the big ice. The guy's got a bomb of a shot, and he's the second highest scoring defenseman this season behind Duncan Keith. I really don't know what else PK Subban could be doing to make this team. Even if you bring him as the extra guy, let him on. Canada once brought PK on as the extra guy at the World Juniors, and it paid off. I know some of the stuff that's said about him, but he's a team guy, and he's proven to Hockey Canada that he knows what it takes. And not just defending Subban. For the skill set argument, that's why I think Canada is out of their minds if they leave Matt Duchene off the roster. One of the greatest skaters in the game. He's an artist. And on the big ice, all you're doing is giving him a bigger canvas to paint with. And last but not least, a guy who might just sneak onto the roster, but again, Canada would be crazy to leave him off, Patrick Sharp. Maybe a bubble player for the roster heading into the season, but you're going to have to bring new light bulbs the way he's playing right now. But enough about me. What do you think? Who do you think Canada would be crazy not to take? What do you think about the US roster controversy? And settle the great debate. Are you team PK or no? Click like if you like this, click subscribe if you really liked it, and follow me on Twitter at Steve_Dangle. Repeat this. Mwah.